You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
Philly special. Ready? Here we go. Easy. Kill. Fight.
But that was a taste of what he was supposed to be.
Last year hurts.
Oh, and how this will all work out. Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see the first play if they don't try to get the football to Terrell Evans. This way.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Trending for Four Quarters right here on DSM Media. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, pretty much everywhere you catch your podcast. Make sure you're sharing it out, hitting those like buttons, comments in the comments section, and, of course, turning all notifications on so you never miss any of the dozen shows on DSM Media. I'm your host here on Trending for Four Quarters, Phil Stiefel. I've got my fantasy football partner here, Jason Sullivan, joining me. He's a huge Lions fan, and we got Lions Eagles this week, so we definitely need lots of Lions perspectives. But our first guest tonight for the first half of the show is Coach Gabe Martinez. He's one of the agents, one of the player reps over at Pro Level Sports Agency. I've had Buddy Walters on the show before. He's also the offensive coordinator for the Wyoming Mustangs. It's a champion indoor football league. I'm going to let Gabe introduce himself, talk a little bit more about the Champions Indoor Football League and the Wyoming Mustangs, because, I think it's been around for about 6 years now, this league.
Yeah, that sounds about right, maybe 6 to 8. But yeah, basically, the CIF is an indoor football league. There's a few out there right now, and we're considered to be maybe, in that top tier with the IFL. IFL, of course, is a little bit bigger, has a little bit more high profile talent in it, maybe a little bit structured, higher with just salary caps and stuff like that. But it's indoor ball, fast paced, high scoring, short field type stuff. But it's a lot of fun, and nowadays it's something that's being used as a springboard by a lot of athletes to get to the next level, whether it be CFL or international ball or even NFL. There's a lot of NFL teams that are using indoor concepts. So that's what I'm doing right now. About 3 years into it on the indoor side. Before that, it's always been 11-man. So I started at Texas Tech in college with Mike Leach and Coach Tuberville. And then from there, I did a couple years in high school, did some years in semi-pro ball. And then here recently, like I said, dipping the little toes in the indoor game, and it's been a lot of fun.
No, that's really awesome. And I think this is your first year coaching with the Wyoming Mustangs, right?
True. Yeah, yes, sir. Last year
it's up to
we
you
won.
To turn around, 'cause I was doing my research before the show. I think they had a rough year last year or this past year. Right. So this upcoming year, you got your work cut out for you to help turn that team around, right?
Absolutely. It's something a challenge that I really embrace, because its first year was last year, and I was a part of a first year team last year as well here in Texas. The West Texas Warbirds. So they were supposed to be a CIF team. COVID had other plans, so they ended up playing a Texas league schedule, which is still pretty neat to do. Helped out on travel and stuff like that. But we were able to go undefeated, win the championship, and I want to bring some of that hard work and good fortune with us up to Wyoming. So we're looking forward to competing. There's some teams here that have been around a long time. The most recent champion, Omaha Beef, coached by longtime, Jet legend and Florida State guy, Marvin Jones. So there's guys like that scattered throughout this entire league, and it's an honor to be a part of it.
That's awesome. What's like your coaching style and philosophy? Like what kind of a coach are you?
My thing is I'm more of a teacher. So it's more of, teaching you the why we're doing it, the how we're going to do it. And I'm not going to, not the type to chew you up one side and down the other. Really not my style. I'm going to treat you like a grown man because we're, at this level, these guys are professionals. They've been through high school and college, and some of them have been, to the mountaintop. I had a former Colts running back on our roster last year that I was coaching, and you got to treat these guys like what they are. They're grown men with families and kids, and full-time jobs when they go back home after the season. So you want to teach them the football IQ side of it, and as far as my offensive philosophy, we're fast. We're going to go up there, and that's the greatest thing that Coach Coleman, the head coach in Wyoming, and I clicked on was just the fact that we wanted to go fast. We wanted to speed up the game. It's already a fast game. It's like hockey. You get guys jumping over the walls and subbing in and out like that. Double high motion. You got guys running full speed at DBs. So taking that and helping push like a NASCAR type approach to it is something that I have some background in here at Texas Tech. The whole air raid type thing. Last year, learning a lot from the head coach in West Texas about that as well. So we're excited to get started, man. We've been signing a monster class, so we're ready to get these guys in camp.
No, it's super exciting. And I was reading your profile on the pro level sports agency page and all, and I see Tuberville and Leach associated with your name. I mean, there's some big time coaching names in college there that you've been associated with. Yeah,
it was a blessing. Coming out of high school. Straight into college as a freshman. I was walking on as a student athlete, ended up tearing up my knee, and they were gracious enough to keep me on as a student assistant. So at that point, you start kind of being around the film sessions and the practice setups and the game planning, and that's where I got my coaching bug from. I never once thought I'd go into it. I had I thought I was going to go into law or business or something, and this just hit me, and it stuck. So both those coaches were completely different. Everyone knows the quirks of Mike Leach and the politician side of Coach Tuberville, and I called that from day one when I met him. That first day that I had an interaction with him, I thought he's a politician, and to find out he really is. So it was an honor to learn from those guys and the staffs that they had. So it was a great start.
Okay. All right. So let's
I just want to kind of follow up on that a little bit. We obviously know him as one of the better offensive minds. Do you kind of take or mold anything in your offense based on kind of what he did? Obviously, he liked to score. He liked to air it out. Do you kind of put the same philosophy?
Something that a lot of people here know about Leach, and maybe some people that have followed him around, before Mississippi State and Washington State, is the fact that he keeps things extremely simple. I mean, his call sheet fits across the palm of his hand. So, he's not one to sit there and have a huge, 12 by 12 laminated call sheet with, 1,000 plays on it and situations. He knows what he likes. He knows what combinations. He knows his personnel. And he did a lot of the great things that he's done here at Tech. And then since then with a bunch of 3- and 2-star guys. I don't know many 4- or 5-star prospects that he signed, especially here at Tech. But he turned guys like, Michael Crabtree that came here as a basketball player, Graham Harrell that came here, not really highly touted, and he did all the great things with them and all the quarterbacks, behind that. So just the fact that he kept it simple and just efficient. He's weird. He knows he's weird, and everyone that just saw his recent interview about Halloween candy knows he's weird, but he's a genius. I mean, straight up, he's a genius.
Well, there's something to say about being weird and quirky and teaching, but there's also coaching and winning ball games that's involved, and that's where we get into this week's Eagles versus Lions. You got two teams. The Lions are 0-7. The Eagles are 2-5. But on the flip side of the equation, they both got young coaches that were on nobody's radar coming into this season. And I'll be honest, the outside perspective was that both teams, kind of went down the ladder to grab their coaches. So how am I trying to phrase this question? So, like, the Eagles, obviously, everybody's heard today the roots conversation from, Nick Sirianni, how he's planting these roots and sprouting the flowers. And there's so many memes out there and stuff like that. But the Eagles' perspective and image right now with Nick Sirianni is really going downhill because he preaches this coaching and team and teaching style. But the Eagles have a lot of veterans, Pro Bowl veterans on their team. And it's not really translating. And it's kind of getting to the point where you start hearing the Fletcher Coxes and the Ronnie McLeods. Even Devontae Smith 2 weeks ago kind of mumbled under his breath just in earshot of a reporter that, he wasn't happy. And, the trajectory of the Eagles is going down. On the other side of the equation, Dan Campbell, who everyone made fun of, they might be 0-7, but at least they're developing an identity. So where is that fine line of a coach that takes that philosophy, but then at some point you have to win ball games too?
Right. No, I agree with you. It's tough because, the Philadelphia market is such a different market. It's hard to sell, seances and kumbaya in Philadelphia. And that's what he's trying to do. And it's, I think a lot of the new school ball is getting towards that way. You have like the Pete Carroll, and that fit in Seattle like a glove. Mm-hmm. His whole, family now, and I read his book, and he was a lot of that kind of stuff, and just the mentality part. And I think that's what you got to know your audience at a certain point. So you go to kind of brash Philadelphia and start talking about flowers, and they're just not going to have it. And I think
he did say in his intro press conference that he was interviewing draft prospects with paper, rock, scissors. That was part of the interview. I mean, it went from paper, rock, scissors to flowers. It's just been a downward trajectory since day one.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's a market where they, like you said, they have an all-star roster. That offensive line. That's what I noticed right away is it's kind of being wasted. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they've had some injuries, but man, like look at that line, and they just signed that young kid at tackle, and they have Johnson. He's just a Hall of Famer at the right side, and they Kelsey's a Hall of Famer at center, and all just their entire line should have been better than the Cowboys a few years back, and better than the Browns this year, but. That's tough. It's tough to go there and do that kind of stuff, especially when you're not winning. Hey, if they were 7-0 right now, and he was talking about flowers and watering stuff, no one would care. They'd be like, "Sure, man, do whatever you want." But everything has a much darker light when you're losing.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you feel about Dan Campbell? He's kind of, I don't know, a little bit opposite of that. He's not. It's like I don't know. He's a little more rough around the edges. He's a little more like in your face. But it seems like the guys are really buying into it. But do you think that they lose that I don't know, loses his luster a little bit after they go 0-7, or do you think they're still kind of buying into it?
I think, the team that they have there, I think he kept the guys that he knew would understand what he's trying to do. He got rid of a lot of pieces that, may have had different philosophy than him, which is smart. If you know your GM and your owner are going to let you have that time. And you're right, he's kind of a rough around the edges guy. He's the big Lebowski. He's the dude. He's a former player, and I remember him playing. It seems like not too long ago he was catching touchdowns. So, I followed him as he went on to be an assistant and stuff like that, which made sense because certain guys just have that knack. And I think he's doing things differently there. But like you said, he's kind of creating an environment. He's getting a identity and kind of spreading what he wants across his team. And it's not a great team. It's not a great roster, but that doesn't mean that a few signings in free agency and a couple big draft picks couldn't change that around. Especially in that division. Bears are still trying to find their footing after Rodgers leaves the Packers. They're going to need a new identity. The Vikings with Cousins are always like, who knows? So it's not a big thing. I think they have a bright future still.
So when it comes to as a coach, and at the beginning of the season, you set out your vision to your players, right? You're like, this is our goal for the season, obviously to win, but to do X, Y, and Z, and to be this kind of a team. And so Nick Sirianni, let's take the joke and the sarcasm about the flowers out of it today. He was still trying to say that, look, our vision for this team in this season is going to stay the same. I know we're 2-5. I know we're struggling. I know things look falling apart. When you have players in the locker room, and you said it, these are adults, these are people, whatnot. These aren't high school or college kids. Mm-hmm. How do you, convince the veterans? I mean, it's one thing to convince the young kids that are going to be a part of this team for the next Jalen Hurts or Devontae Smith that are going to be here for, years to come, at least on their rookie deal. How do you convince, veteran players that, yes, it's not working yet, but if we stay the course, it may work? Like, how do you handle that as a coach and explaining that to your players?
I mean, the biggest thing you can do is just stay consistent. As a coach, if you start, trying to draw up a new script, for one practice because something happened in your last game, or try to flip flop on ideas that you had early on, the players lose faith in you a lot faster that way. So with him, you're right. He's got some guys there. Like you named the veterans earlier that are starting to be a little vocal about it, but coming into the season, they weren't sure that Hurts was his guy. He wasn't there when he was drafted. He wasn't sure if he was going to keep him or go try to get Deshaun Watson or try to bring someone else in next year. And that very well may happen. Kind of similar to what they're going to do in Miami with Tua and all that kind of stuff. But his thing is he's going to stay consistent. He's going to keep preaching the attainable goals first. The stuff that they talked about that they wanted to accomplish in this season. Maybe certain markers they had, but looking at their in the standings, the NFC East doesn't mean anything. They could still easily rise up to be second in the East and still get a wild card berth, no problem. It's other fact that no one's ever heard of their number one receiver, so teams aren't really aren't gonna be scared of intimidated by him. Running back is injured. Jalen Hurts is in middle of the pack when it comes to passing, his stats and stuff like that. So it's one of those things like, okay, so now that you're in your kind of fluff area of your schedule, do you see a resurgence? Do you go on a 2 or 3 game winning streak now that you've lost 2 and pick things back up? You can all of a sudden, like I said, you're in second place. As it gets, further into fall and winter, all of a sudden you're pushing for a playoff berth, and no one remembers the stuff that went on earlier in the season.
I think too is the Eagles team in general, I guess, is more veteran-laden team, whereas the Lions, I feel like, are buying into Camp a little bit more because it's all a bunch of unproven guys. I mean, you have a few pieces. Ragnow's really good on the line, and I think Penei Sewell is going to be really good, and Hawkinson and a few guys, but in Swift, but. For the most part, it's a young team. It's rookie pieces or second, third year pieces where I feel like Campbell's message gets across more to them, whereas Sirianni's dealing with guys that are a little more proven in the NFL, and they may question him a little bit more. I feel like. How do you feel about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a lot easier to sell to somebody that is still new to the league and still trying to cut their teeth than to somebody that's a 10 or 12 year vet and who's been through 2 or 3 coaches already, who's already heard the same spiel, who is at their end of their career. They're wanting to win. They're not worried about developing. They're not worried about trying to make a Pro Bowl anymore. They're trying to win some games and get as close to a ring as they can. So it's it's just one of those things. And I think the Lions, like you said, those guys that you named off, I love Hawkinson. I think he's going to be a star sooner rather than later. Kind of disappointed that Goff didn't elevate them a little bit more than I thought he could. But you got to have some weapons around him too. So I think with what he's doing, and just keeping those guys tight together, because as soon as they have their first win, which they're going to win one this year, I don't see them going totally 0-17 was 18 now. I don't see them going defeated, but that's going to bond them, and it's going to get those guys rallied, and then that's going to be momentum for next year.
Yeah. Again, everybody, so we're on Trending for Four Quarters. This is DSM Media. We have Coach Gabe Martinez. He's the coach of the Wyoming Mustangs. I've been practicing that all day to make sure I didn't mess that up. And, of course, I messed it up. The Wyoming Mustangs are the champion indoor football league, but he's also an agent, and a player rep for Pro Level Sports Agency, and we appreciate his time here. So, going forward as the Eagles and the Lions, different ends of the spectrum, and that the Lions being, that young team, the Eagles being veterans, can it get confusing for players? And you're a coach, like the Eagles GM Howie Roseman is preaching, we're not sellers, we're trying to win now, but certain things that the team are doing, having a young quarterback in Jalen Hurts who's unproven, a coach that should be an offensive coordinator, not a head coach, running the team. When the two messages just don't line up, can that be confusing, for the players? It
can be. Ultimately they figure out pretty quickly where the real power lies inside that organization.
Yeah. We know it's not with the coach in Philly.
Yeah, I mean,
it's all Howie Roseman.
You're going to get conflicting stories, but you're going to know, like you said, GM really has the weight in his voice. So in that point there, okay, so, the guy that has the power is saying, we're legit, we're going to, stick it out. Then let's see it. They want to see actions like that. We're a week away from the trade deadline. I don't really see them making a big splash, anything like that, but who knows? A lot of their pieces, they're not bad. They let Ertz go, which, the tight end that you had behind them still really good. I don't think the receivers are terrible. I just think they don't really have a true number one, and it's tough.
Sorry, so you don't think Devontae Smith is a true number one wide receiver?
No, I mean, eventually,
we're
I'm sure.
Hanging our, hats on, hoping that he is at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think not to say he couldn't develop into one like that, but how often is it the case that you draft a guy in his first year and he's going to be that dude for you?
Absolutely.
Usually, like Jamar Chase in Cincinnati right now, he's got a complementary piece opposite him to give him that room to work. And whenever you're the guy there, so he's going to be seeing that bracket coverage, and who's worried about the run game? Nobody. So I mean, they take him away, and all of a sudden your offense is shut down. You got to worry about Hurts as a runner, but it's certain things as a defensive coordinator that you kind of take away, and you make it to where they're having to play in a phone booth, and it gets hard. So I think they have some pieces that can go there. Fletcher Cox probably only has a year or two left. Some of those guys on the offensive line may only have a year or two left, especially as they get more and more injury prone. So, it's one of those things where sometimes it's all about timing, and it may not work, and it may take another rehaul or, something to happen. But, that there's 32 teams and there's only one that wins it in the year. So someone has to be that team that revamps and starts from scratch.
All right, so Jalen Hurts, you brought him up. I know you talked about Jared Goff for a second, being surprised he's not doing more.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts? I mean, he's obviously a running quarterback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But his accuracy issues, I mean, they're there. But on the flip side of the equation, maybe there's a little bit too much being made of it because of the wide receivers and some of the other things. I mean, his senior years, last year in college, at Oklahoma, I mean, it was a 70%, completion percentage that year in that college spread offense. So can Jalen Hurts succeed in the NFL as a starting quarterback, do you think? Or do you think he's just in over his head, right now?
I think he definitely can. I mean, we got to see him, up close and personal here playing in the Big 12 against, Texas Tech. So, we saw him come from Alabama, and the biggest thing that hurts him is, it's a situation where these guys, they get so far in their talent because they're uber talented, right? I mean, they have the athleticism to pull it down and get a 15-yard first down with their legs, and then they can still, throw it, from their knees, 80 yards. So they are talented on both sides, but he's got to have time to develop. He's got to have, he had Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, and who's to say if he didn't have him for 3 or 4 years, what kind of quarterback he could have been coming out. So whatever kind of mentoring he's having there in Philadelphia, he's still learning. He's still learning the position. He's going to have to learn the reads and not just rely on just a big arm in his legs, because defense coordinators will take that away. So now you got to learn how to play the quarterback, from the mental side. And, if he has the time to actually, learn how to analyze the defense and find the windows and, the concepts and stuff, we start becoming familiar to him, then sure, but the way NFL works is, a lot of times you don't get that chance. You if you don't show something in year 2 and 3, we're moving on. And your contract's about up anyways. We'll see you later. The NFL, not for long, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the way it is, and in Philly, it's really not for long because there's such a short leash in Philly. And I'm a patient guy. We got our Super Bowl in 2017. I'm patient. I want to see a foundation built and stuff like that. I got one final. I don't know if Jason's got any more questions for you. I got one final really important question to me. And you've coached all different levels, and you get these guys like, we'll say Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, any of these young guys, that are drafted in the first, second round in most football drafts. They're winners. They come from winning colleges, and normally the guys that are at the best colleges come from winning high school programs.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're that good of a talent, you normally go to the worst team in the league. Just the way it works. And how does that mentality first off, how do you handle that as a coach, but also as a player? Like, look, you've been a winner your whole life. And it definitely, you saw it 2 weeks ago with Devontae Smith. After the game, he was walking in the tunnel, and at just the right moment when he was walking by the reporters, he mumbled, we got to do X, Y, and Z more. You can see the frustration of losing starting to boil over. So the role of the coaches there, and also, how you understand that whole, mental aspect of the game there.
Yeah. It's a maturing process for a lot of these guys. The fact that he made that remark, if it's handled correctly within the organization, it's just a way for him to grow as a man and as a player. No one likes to lose. Tom Brady, as soon as they start, messing up on the sideline, he's MF and this and that, and he's, pissed off more than anybody else on the team. And he's the winningest, player to ever do it. So,
right.
They say, winning cures all. And these guys that, like you said, they come from programs where all they do is win. Just like Lawrence and, in Jacksonville, he had never lost anything. Like, probably never lost a rock, paper, scissors battle. So, going and struggling, and having that kind of stuff, it's different. You really do have to humble yourself and say, okay, like, I'm a part of something bigger than myself now. I'm here because they brought me in, they trusted me, they're paying me life-changing money to come in and spread what I am as a winner in my mentality and what I know how to do throughout an organization and become a leader. And that's something that a lot of guys struggle with. They get there and they let their attitudes and egos get the best of them. And then instead of stepping up and trying to be an influence in the locker room, to become a cancer. And it's unfortunate because, it's just like life. Life, you're going to get, struck down, and are you going to sit there and just, cry, woe is me all night and you never pick yourself back up? Or are you going to say, you know what, I've overcome every single time and I know how to overcome. So let's do this. But you're trusting me, put your weight on my back. Let's go and let's win this. And then it takes a special player, and it takes an even more special coach to have someone buy into that.
But as a coach, you understand when the players are, at first, when they're young and immature, you understand that, right?
Yeah, you got to. I mean, if you automatically assume that everyone on your team is bought in and has no issues and everyone's holding hands and we're all on the same page, you're sadly mistaken. There's always going to be some type of conflict. There's always that guy that, rumbles a little bit more than someone else. And, it's your job to win him over if he's going to stay there. Sometimes that's the guy that needs to go, so it's one of two things. So, as a coach, you just have to do your best and, know your roster, know who is vital in your locker room, who's going to be the extension of you in your locker room when you're not around. Instead of everyone, bashing you behind your back, there's got to be that leader in there that that takes your back and says, you know what, like what we're doing here is meaningful. What we're doing here is, we're playing a game, but we're representing a team, a family, a city, and it's got to be something that he can just embody the coach. So, like I said, it doesn't happen all that often, but whenever you get someone like that behind a coach or a coach in an organization that can help do that, it's pretty powerful.
Awesome. All right, so again, this is Coach Gabe Martinez, offensive coordinator from the Wyoming Mustangs of the Champion Indoor Football League. Coach, thank you very much for joining. I love, like, when I talked to Buddy Walters a few weeks ago and talking to you, I just love to get those different perspectives and looks. It's not just talking to X's and O's and, just talking Eagles. It's talking these different things. So I greatly appreciate your time here tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I loved it. And, anytime you need a fill in, you holler at me. I'm down here in Texas on 10 acres, just looking for something to do.
My wife loved the pictures of you. We're friends on Facebook now, and I saw your pictures of your dogs, showed them to my wife. You've got a new fan in my wife, too, because, we're dog people here. We've got a couple acres here with our dog, Old Man Al, so we love that, too. Again, the Wyoming Mustangs, your season starts in, I believe I wrote it down here. Can't read my notes. February 27th. I think your first game is March 12th. So you got a few months till your next game and all. Where can they find you? And obviously Pro Level Sports Agency is prolevelsports.com. I love you guys and what you're doing there.
Yeah, absolutely. Our website for the agency is prolevelagents.com. So anybody that wants to, try to help get their career off and, be a professional and play for an indoor team, international team, we have plenty of guys that can help get you there. Personally, Gabriel Martinez on anything, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. My Twitter is the same. So anyone that likes to connect, it needs, there's people I talk to on a daily basis that just want to ask questions about how to do something. So I enjoy that part of it too. So reach out to me and be sure to look out for us this coming spring as we start looking for that CIF championship.
Hey, DSM Media is behind the Wyoming Mustangs 110%. So we love you. You got new fans here for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Hey, thank you very much for joining us. Greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Hey, have a good night.
Y'all too.
All right, so that was Gabe Martinez, Pro Level Sports agent and offensive coordinator there. That was awesome, Jason. That I don't know. I just love getting coaches and agents' perspectives, big time.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's as fans, we think so many different things. Throughout the games, we voice our opinions on this show or Twitter or whatever it is. But it's cool to actually get a guy that's on the sideline and get that perspective.
I mean, and he's coached with Leach and Tuberville. I mean, that's. I mean, they're legends right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
Awesome. All right, so now we're going to transition from coaching and that whole thing, and we're going to bring in. I brought on. I know Jason. He's my partner here, and he's a Lions fan. But I brought on two other Lions podcasters here. Before we do, got to shout out Manscaped. As every other podcast, we are sponsored by Manscaped. DSM's the promo code, 20% off and free shipping. Your balls will thank you, as I always say, and so will your women in your life. And also, we are up on TeePublic. Great T-shirts that you can get all the show logos. We've also got some Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni shirts up. They're pretty much out of date since the Eagles suck now. But make sure you check out our website. The link is in the bio on YouTube and Facebook and on our website and stuff like that. So make sure you check out our T-shirt site. Buying T-shirts is the best way to support a podcast because that money comes to us, so we greatly appreciate it. So now we've got the Pride Podcast, a Detroit Lions podcast. We're going to add these guys on. I'm glad they put their names. I didn't know which one was which. We've got Tyler. We got Mr. Malcolm Hart. He had to put Mr. in there, because Mr. Malcolm, you are muted on your mic, just so you know.
Come on, man.
I know.
Very embarrassing. No, very embarrassing.
I mean, you guys have one more 200 episodes, and you know how to unmute your mic?
Come on, man. That's embarrassing.
We actually have one more. Where's my other guy?
Oh, is Pierre? Is that Pierre?
Pierre is here. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so
the whole
there we go.
Is here.
I mean,
the whole gang here.
His face. He doesn't want to show his face to the public. So now we've got 4 Detroit Lions fans.
Woo!
One Eagles fan here.
Dude, I can see all the Detroit jerseys in the background. It's kind of giving me all the feels right now.
Oh man, we have way more stuff going on here. Just, I mean, hold up,
He's got the Tiger shirt on.
Got the whole memorabilia, hockey pucks. We got the Red Wings game on on the phone right now.
We're trying to represent.
Oh, there we go.
Too.
We are in overtime with the Washington Capitals right now. So this is
wow. Is that what this is? We're gonna jump Phil right now. Is that what this?
Pretty much.
Dude, I'm the only one in Philadelphia right now, so you guys can't find me, you know? Man. All right, so I don't know who wants to do it. First off, thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Whenever I'm trying to bring, our opponent, the Eagles' opponents on, first thing I do is go into Twitter, type in the team name and podcast. Let me tell you, your guys' podcast came up as the first podcast. So I reached out to you guys.
Ooh,
so to the listeners out there, tell them where they can find you guys and all about your podcast. Like I said, over 200 episodes on your podcast. Means you've been around for a little while.
Or we just record a lot. Tyler,
record a lot. That too, yeah. I mean, I'm on here like 6 times a week. So
yeah, you could find us anywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever the hell you guys get your podcast from. You guys could find us at the Pride Podcast. I always ask for 5-star reviews. I'm gonna plug it right here. Shameless plug. 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Always much appreciated. But that's where you guys find us. The Pride Podcast on Twitter. My plug is Tyler_SAWA Sawa. And then you can find these guys. I'll let them plug their stuff.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Mr. Hart ____. And that's me. And then we have Pierre. Pierre, where they can find you, man.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at DLFP Tweets.
Let's go.
There we go.
All right, so we got guys. I got 4 Lions guys here against me, the only Eagle here. 0-7, Lions versus 2-5 Eagles. But as we were talking with Coach Gabe Martinez, he's just a friend of mine that he coaches in a indoor football league. But he's been around the block, and we were talking about the trajectory of teams. And even though you guys are 0-7, I almost feel like there's more positivity coming out of Detroit than there is Philadelphia right now. That Dan Campbell isn't as awful as Nick Sirianni and stuff like that. So, thoughts from you guys, because I know Jason's thoughts on Dan Campbell a lot, but thoughts on you guys on Dan Campbell and the trajectory of your team, keeping in mind that you guys are 0-7 at this point, but, for the most part, hanging in most of your games right now.
Yeah, let's go. Let's take it around. Want to start, Tyler?
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, obviously being 0-7 is not anything positive. It's nothing good to, be said. I mean, you are what your record says. You are 0-7 at the end of the day. So that's nothing to be, happy about. But I would agree. I think Lions fans in particular are more, I would say, positive and optimistic of their team right now compared to, we were talking to like a Vikings pod the other day. Like, they're just, they're kind of in that gut. They're kind of stuck in that middle. And it kind of just brings me back to like a couple of years ago where I felt like where the Lions were stuck. Like we weren't just good enough, but we weren't bad enough. We were just kind of stuck in that middle. And it just wasn't a great feeling either. And I know for you guys, being a Philly fan, you've actually had the feeling of winning it all. And you've had that. So like, how that feels. Being in the middle is not fun. So for me personally, I prefer to either just blow it up completely start from scratch, or you're gonna or you're gonna be on top. You're gonna be that top dog. You're gonna be a legitimate contender. Maybe you don't get it done, but if you are a legitimate contender, it's different. I just never thought the Lions were legitimate contenders, even when they were 9-7, and keeping it close in the middle of the season. The only time I was actually like legitimately think the Lions can make a legitimate playoff run was probably 2014. And that's probably the only season where I'm like, I think they could actually do some damage. I think they could be a legitimate contender in the playoffs. In 2017, it didn't feel like a real playoff, a real like football team that was going to compete with those big dogs. Same thing in 2016. It just, once Stafford got hurt, just didn't have that same energy. So, for me personally, it's like you do it right or you don't do it at all. It's just like start from bottom or you're a top dog. And I prefer where the Lions are now than what they've been trying to do for, I would say, the last, 4 years at least. Just kind of stay in that middle and just weren't good enough. So I would say I'm, optimistic of the long-term plan of what the Lions are trying to accomplish right now.
So it's a lot. What you're saying basically describes the after Allen Iverson Sixers before the Joel Embiid Sixers.
Yes.
You know, they were always at
Yes.
7, 8, 9 seed in the playoffs. You know, never stood a chance, but they were always just like, they're there. You know what I mean? And it kind of you try as a fan to not overhype a mediocre team, but yeah. Malcolm, are you on the same boat with Tyler there on that?
Absolutely, man. So as far as like the Lions fans, they knew what was coming in. They knew it was a rebuild. So these losses hasn't been bad because they've been keeping it close. You've been seeing a lot of competitive, but I do think things could take a change. Could take a turn. Lose this game. I think this game could actually mean something for Detroit. So I think this is a game that Detroit kind of have to pull off, or we could see an angry crowd, to be honest with you, man.
Hey, I'm just going to be honest. If Detroit wins and the Dolphins lose, we have the number 1 overall pick in the draft then. So I'm actually, I'm not saying I want the Eagles to lose, but on the flip side, it means a lot to us Eagles fans as well.
Yeah.
Pierre, where are you at with the team?
Yeah, I'm kind of with like what Tyler said. Like the Lions, they don't like half-ass the rebuild. If you rebuild, you got to do it the right way, right? You trade away your star, trade away Stafford, get your first-round picks, get your other picks, develop young talent. That's what we're seeing. As the year's going on, the younger players are getting better and better every week. And that's what I want to see with the rebuilding team. I don't really care about wins and losses. I'm not expecting a lot of wins. I just want to see these younger guys like Jerry Jacobs. Jason knows I'm talking about Jerry Jacobs, right? Levi Onwuzurike, Aleem McNeil, Penei Sewell, and other young guys just continue to develop.
Jason, you're up. Lions, where they're at right now.
I think they all brought up good points. I think they're doing it the right way. And that's something that we can't say that very often as Lions fans because they always – it seems like in the past they've always done things probably the worst way possible. But they blew it up. This team – maybe outside of the Texans, has the least amount of talent in the NFL, right? So they're not trying to win. They're trying to improve a little bit, but you just look at they don't have playmakers. They have obviously Swift is good, but outside of Swift and Hawkinson, they really don't have playmakers. They're really building from the bottom up. So I feel like I like what Campbell's kind of preaching, and more so I like what Brad Holmes is doing. You can see that he has a plan, and it's just going to take some time, and obviously collecting draft picks is going to be part of it. So I'm excited to see what he does in the next couple of years with the draft.
You guys have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years, I believe it is?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, what you guys are all talking about is the exact opposite of what the Eagles are doing. Yes, we as Eagles fan wanted to see – we knew we weren't going to win a Super Bowl this year. We just wanted to see progress from, our team. But on the flip side of the equation, the GM and the owner are still saying we're not sellers, we're buyers, we still think we're playoff contenders. So you got 2 different messages. You got the message coming from the front office and then the play on the field and the coaching hires and stuff like that. And it's 2 different messages. And I actually would prefer to be more in your boat than our boat because, they're trying to sell us on X, Y, and Z, but they're actually selling us something completely different. So, and I think the thing that, you guys haven't committed to Jared Goff as your quarterback. And
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's great because we know what Jared Goff is. I know he made a Super Bowl, but he didn't really make the Super Bowl. The team around him made that Super Bowl with the Rams. Is any one of the 4 of you, raise your hand or Pierre, say something since we can't see your face. Is anybody even remotely interested in making Jared Goff your quarterback of the future?
No.
You got one person.
Oh, yeah. I love Jared Goff.
You why are you lying, man? He's lying.
Tyler calls him Jared Goof. That's
that's the name that we have for him, Jared Goof.
Jared Goof. No, I'm not. I just want to be different.
Now, Phil, you guys have like 3 potential top 10 picks this year, right?
Absolutely.
So how does that feel like as Eagles? You guys trust the GM?
No, nobody trusts the GM. So we always talk about this year about how Nick Sirianni was hired to be Howie Roseman's yes man because Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, so he gained some credibility, and that's why he left because he wouldn't do what Howie Roseman says. The coach of the Eagles doesn't even have say over the game day roster, who's active and who's inactive. Howie Roseman, who is an accountant, has that final say. But then what we talk about after that is that it's not even Howie Roseman's fault. It's Jeffrey Lurie's fault because he's let Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman has now hired 3 head coaches in 9 years. And at this trajectory, Nick Sirianni is embarrassing himself, may get fired at the end of this year. So that would be 4 head coaches that Howie Roseman gets to hire because Jeffrey Lurie has his yes man. Jeffrey Lurie's a wannabe, Jerry Jones. He's just not got all the Super Bowl trophies like Jerry Jones does. So, no, I do not have confidence. If we have 3 first-round draft picks in the top 10, Howie Roseman's either going to trade all 3 of them for a quarterback, or he is going to draft 3 wide receivers. So, or you got the other guys that do their mock drafts that have them drafting 3 quarterbacks in the first round. So, we have literally zero confidence in our GM, and that's where the problem is. That's why I'm more excited about the Lions' future than the Eagles' future, because I see the direction. And I know it's 0-7 versus 2-5, but I see growth and at least fight from the team. Whereas the Eagles, look, I think the Eagles can win this week for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions beat the Eagles this week.
Yeah. No, it's definitely true. I mean, we're at that point though, is like, we're keeping up in these games, and that's great. Like, we're being competitive and we're not going down, easy. Like I would say the only game we really folded badly was the Cincinnati game a couple weeks ago at Ford Field. That was like our first game where it just team looked completely out of it, no really energy from that game. But I mean, we're at that point though. Dan Campbell needs to get a win eventually. At some point, he cannot go 0-17. That's just not a possibility that could happen. It's really hard to keep the locker room intact, keep everyone still involved. And it's not I think they'll lose the locker room. I don't think the players will ever stop believing in Dan Campbell. But it's just everybody in Detroit, they need a win really badly right now, just because, you fight your tails off every single week in practice on Sundays and you keep coming up short. It's demoralizing. To the fan base, it's whatever. We're playing for the number 1 pick. We want Kayvon Thibodeau. That's great. I understand. But from a player perspective, from a coaching standpoint, they just need to get that. They need to get that rabbit, whatever you want to call it, off their back. They need a win really, really badly. And if it comes this Sunday, coming to the bye, I think that'll be just a huge team morale, win for the team. They need it really badly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Is that they don't want to go into the bye 0-8. That is not a good feeling for the players. The coaching staff, they just don't. They have to find a way to come out with a win this game, and it's gonna be tough, man. I think this is gonna be a tough game, but they have to try to pull out a win.
Yeah,
it's actually something interesting there because you're talking about losing faith, and we were talking with my last guest, Gabe Martinez, about that as a coach and how you handle players losing faith, and you guys at least have the bye next week.
Yes,
the Eagles don't have the bye till week 13, and as a young team that's struggling and the coach's message is getting through, not having the bye till then. I mean, you could completely lose the locker room by week 13 if you're, 0-whatever, or 2-whatever at that point. But at least even if you lose this week, you've got a full bye week to really reinforce things and whatnot. So we'll start with Pierre, then we'll go to Jason and you guys. I mean, you do actually have some pieces. And you got Penny Sewell, who I thought was the best prospect in the draft. He was one of my top 3 players, but I had him as the top player in this past draft. You got Hawkinson, you got Swift, you've got some players on defense and offense, building blocks there.
Right.
Each Pierre, then Jason and Tyler and Malcolm. Which guys are you guys most excited about that you guys have right now, or guys that you think are going to cause the Eagles issues this week?
The guy that I think is going to give the Eagles a lot of issues, he's right from your town, DeAndre Swift. I don't think they have a linebacker that could cover him. I really don't. And Swift, that's his hometown. He's going to put on a show. He's going to be motivated. He's from there. Deuce Staley also probably wants Swift to ball out down there. He's from Philly as well. So I'm gonna give it to Swift this week.
Deuce could have been the head coach of the Eagles right now. That is the thing. That is the current conversation going on in Philly.
Interesting.
And got Jason. Who are you most excited about at this moment?
For me, it's Penny Sewell. I just feel like he's kind of overachieved at this point for me. I thought, he kind of struggled at the beginning when he was at right tackle. And I think moving him to left tackle where he was comfortable, it has me excited. It's been a while since we've had a really good offensive line in Detroit. And I feel like when Decker does come back, whenever that might be, and, you figure out who's going to play where, I'm excited about this offensive line. And I think Sewell could be a top 2 or 3 offensive tackle in this league for a long time. So he really excites me. I was pumped when they drafted him. Like you, I had him really high on the board, and I'm really excited about him in the future. He's old school. He's
and then
mean,
I had
he's
Micah
nasty.
Parsons. They were my 1-2.
Yeah.
Sixel and Parsons.
And he's just the perfect lineman for me. He's mean. He's nasty. He's not going to back down. You saw him go toe to toe with Aaron Donald the other day, and they're pushing and shoving each other.
Yes.
He's not scared, which I love that.
Yes. I would also say Penei Sewell. I think he's the most prized possession on this team, and for this week, maybe in particular, it won't be maybe his best outing. He's had his ups and downs throughout the season, which was, like Jason said, it was kind of expected. And you could even say he's kind of exceeded expectations than what people kind of thought, just because obviously opted out of the 2020 season with the COVID. And then, he's coming back and he's shown real flashes to be, like Jason said, in a very top tackle in the league. And then he's had some flashes where, it's like, oh, this is some growing pains. Or like, oh, is this guy even a tackle? I don't think anybody's ever said that. But there's been obviously some growing pains throughout the season so far. But to keep it a little different, I would say Julian Okwara. I think he's kind of coming onto his own a little bit as his snap count has gone up throughout the weeks. He's getting a little bigger role on this defense as the season going on. Something with Okwara was, he was always very athletic, has all the traits to be a great edge rusher. It was just like, could he put it together? Could he develop some pass rush moves? And I think, as the weeks have gone on and, the staff has been, closer with Julian Okwara, I think he's just coming more of a legitimate pass rusher for this team. And he looks like a legitimate building block going forward for this team. So Penei Sewell is my most prized position on the team, but if I'm going on the defensive side of the ball, I'll go Julian Okwara.
All right. So as far as this game itself, towards Pierre on this one with DeAndre Swift, I think this game, he's going to be the X factor for this game. I think he's a guy that they got to give the 20 touches this game, and passing, running. He's got to get more than 20 touches this game, and I really like him a lot this game. As far as the future, like a future piece that you're talking about, like a guy who I'm excited about. That's Derek Barnes, man. He's a guy that his snap count goes up and down, but I do believe he's going to be the future linebacker of this team. And I think he's going to be one of those greats. He gets a hold of that defense and is able to, be a full-time starter. He's gonna go, man. Yeah. I'm excited about him.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with the Swift comments, except I'm going to get to it. TJ Hawkinson. I mean, I know he's not like the youngest guy on the team out of the young guys, but I mean, Swift, Hawkinson, our linebackers, I mean, there's no argument about it. I mean, probably the weakest linebacker core in the NFL right now. We've got, semi-pro league guys out there and guys that nobody wanted playing linebacker right now. So you guys are going to go off. Problem is I can't ever root for Swift because I totally forgot about DeAndre Swift's Philly connections for a few moments there. But I'm a prep guy. And DeAndre Swift went to St. Joe's Prep. And you only go to St. Joe's Prep because you can't get into Devon Prep. And me and my roommate in college, he was a St. Joe's Prep. I'm a Devon Prep guy. So, I totally forgot about that. I got to text him as soon as the show's over. We used to wear shirts. You only go to St. Joe's if you can't get into Devon. That's it. I even got a Devon Prep hat here. It's a little beat up, but I'm gonna wear it just for DeAndre.
Nice.
That was not planned. It just sits back there for some random reason, and all the other prep schools in Philly are because you can't get in here. That's that.
Phil, quick question for you, Phil. Just really quick.
I can't wear this hat, by the way.
Play. Does he shadow like the best receivers or tight ends on the opposite team? Because last week we see on TJ Hawkinson. So I'm wondering, you think they're gonna put Slay, move him around, and maybe put him on?
I'm kind of confused because we talked about this on my show last week, and I've talked about it with other guests before. Like he should shadow every single week the best guy, and for some reason, Jonathan Gannon, who is even more inexperienced and doing even a worse job than Nick Sirianni is as the head coach / play caller on the team. Some weeks Slay covers the guy. Some weeks, last year we saw it, with DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin with the Eagles. Sometimes he just sticks to his one side and doesn't move. So I'm not sure how to answer that question for you because the Eagles don't have a consistent defensive game plan because it's just kind of randomly thrown together, to be honest with you. If they're going to have a cornerback cover Hawkinson, it's not going to be Slay. Slay will cover, what's his name, St. Brown or Sorry. Yeah, St. Brown. He'll probably stick to him because he's probably your best wide receiver. Steven Nelson has on occasion covered, the tight ends. If, he was planned to cover Waller last week before he got ruled out of the game. But honestly, I mean, I wouldn't be concerned who covers, Hawkinson because, I mean, Waller was ruled out literally right before the game last week. And, their second and third string tight ends put up Pro Bowl level numbers against the Eagles. So I'm not really concerned about – I wouldn't be concerned if I was you on covering Hawkinson because, I mean, he's your leading catcher. He's your leading target guy. I mean, he's going to go off against the Eagles without a doubt.
Interesting.
So I have a question for you guys. Do you guys have faith in this coaching staff, Dan Campbell and his assistants? Do you guys have faith in them developing the guys that we have? And do you think those guys are going to be the right guys down the line?
Man, yes. Yes, I do. How do you feel about that, Tyler and Pierre? I mean, I do. I love – it's more than Dan Campbell. It's the Aaron Glenn. It's the Anthony Lynn's. And you go deeper. You go Audrey Pleasant. These coaching is getting the best. Like, if you look at our defense, like, 6, it is what it is. But you're seeing how they're playing. And you're seeing him getting the best out of these young guys, these, undrafted guys. We got Jerry Jacobs playing at a starting level right now. He's getting the best out of these guys. So, yes, I do. Coaching staff is going to get the best out of these young guys and be able to take them to the next level.
Defensively, I agree with Malcolm. I really enjoy what Aaron Glenn is doing with that defensive staff in general. I think the players have, like you said, exceeded expectations. Offensively, I think there's question marks definitely right now. I mean, there's just not a guy there at the receiving core. There's some questionable play calling. And I would even sometimes go as far as Dan Campbell. Sometimes, hear me out, Lions fans. I think it's just a little too reckless. Like, it just sometimes is so reckless. I mean, a play that I could think particularly was in Cincinnati. We were playing Cincinnati. We were down like 7-0, and it was still like the first half. And we were on like the Bengals. I mean, we're on our own. Sorry, not the Bengals. We were on our own like 35 or 40 yard line. 4th and 2 or 4th and 1. We're going for it. I mean, we got it, but it's just like sometimes I'm like, I really question like what we're doing sometimes.
Who is calling the plays in Detroit? Is Dan Campbell calling the plays or somebody else?
No.
Andy Lynn is the offensive play caller. But as far as, who's going for it on 4th down, that's on Dan Campbell, obviously. Yeah. So, I think sometimes everyone loves to be aggressive. Everyone loves the risk takers. And, when it happens to work, everyone's like, oh, I love the aggressive play calling. But when it doesn't work, oh, you're an idiot. Why'd you do that? It's just like. Yeah.
It's the Philly special. If the Philly special didn't work in the Super Bowl against the Brady,
exactly.
and it would have been a disaster and a terrible play call. Pierre, where are you with the coaching staff?
I disagree with Tyler. I love the aggressiveness. You have nothing to lose. Everything's on the line. You're 0-6, 0-5, 0-7, whatever you are. Just go for it, man. Like what he did last week, fake punt, onside kick, fake punt. I love that shit. Excuse my language. I love that, man. I love the defensive staff, right? Aaron Glenn, Aubrey Pleasant. Pleasant got the best year out of Jalen Ramsey. He's done well with the young safeties in LA. He's doing well with Detroit here with the young DBs. Offensively, I like Antoine Randall, good wide receivers. Coach Deuce Staley, great coach, as you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys about him, how Deuce is integrating in Detroit, because, he's been in Philly for a really long time.
Yeah, Campbell is preparing him to be a head coach. He's an assistant head coach here as well. So they're preparing him to be a head coach like sooner rather than later. Now, Phil, I got a question for you. I'm watching the Eagles O-line. Jordan Mailata and Jason Kelsey, those guys move people in the running game.
Absolutely.
Why the hell don't the Eagles run the ball more?
Do you have a better answer than me? I have no clue. So I've had a bunch of different offensive linemen on shows before to talk about. I'm a trench guy. I love. If I played football, I would have been a lineman. I love trench warfare, I call it. And everybody agrees with me. It's easier for a struggling or an injured offensive line. What's up, Jax? My man right there. Jack's up there on the screen. The biggest fan, my biggest fan right there. I love that guy. It's easier to push. It's easier to push around and run block. And we have Miles Sanders, who unfortunately is hurt now. But I don't get it. There's a story. It's not a confirmed story, and I don't know if it's made it to Detroit or not, that last year when the Eagles beat the Bills, they ran heavily. And then after the game, Doug Peterson was pulled aside by the owner and the general manager. Why'd you run the ball so much? Even though they ran the ball, and that's what won them the game. So the theory is that, the GM, the owner, they're all into analytics that pass. That's the way to go. And it doesn't matter. Maybe that's the thing. And that's why Nick Sirianni was hired as the, yes man head coach. I mean, it's a shame. Last week, I don't know if you guys checked out like the first half of last week's game. Before Miles Sanders got hurt, he actually got more carries in the first half before he got hurt than he had in any game all season. Wow. And then he got hurt. And then they went back to straight passing, RPOs, things that aren't working. So, I can't answer the question, Pierre, but yeah, as Jason is saying here, he's a puppet, for the owner. Well, it ain't a lie right there.
The reason why I say that is because Jalen Hurts, a young quarterback. You got like these young receivers, right? Yeah. Take some pressure off of them. And a good running game is a quarterback's best friend. And you also help your defense out as well. You control the clock, keep your defense on the sidelines. So you're telling me right now ownership and the GM don't want to run the ball?
That is literally, we're talking about every credentialed Eagles reporter has talked about last year about when they ran the ball too much against the Bills in a winning effort. And they came down on Doug Peterson for that. Now, again, the Eagles haven't personally said that happened. Why would they? But yes, that is one of the things, the ownership and the GM meddling in the game plans and stuff like that. That's why we couldn't get, I don't know why Dan Campbell became the head coach of the Lions instead of somebody else. But Nick Sirianni literally was hired because Josh McDaniels, Patriots offense coordinator, was in Philly for 3 days interviewing. And basically, it was a foregone conclusion that Josh McDaniels was going to be the head coach. But then all of a sudden, Nick Sirianni kind of sidled on up here. All of a sudden, he's the head coach. Why? Because he probably said, sure, I'll run it the way you want me to. Sure, I'll let you pick my players. Sure, you could tell me who to dress on Sundays and who not to dress on Sundays. It's really, really a sad state that the Eagles are in at this point in that aspect of it.
I thought it was crazy where I was watching you guys on Thursday night. I think it was 2 weeks ago when you guys were playing the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One rushing attempt in the whole half.
Yeah.
I mean, Miles Sanders had 2 rushes the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, but like that is absurd.
It is.
I mean, you guys you made history. I mean, like we're used to making history for something like that, but like you guys made history.
Look, if you want something fun to go back and watch Jordan Mailata's rugby tape. I mean, the guy is built to run block. I mean, he never played or saw a single second of football before the Eagles drafted him a few years ago. Didn't know anything about football, and he just kind of it just kind of happened for him. So the fact that they won't run the ball, it's something that's becoming more of a joke than an issue in Philly because it's just what's expected at this point.
And it's like you have guys too. It's like if you didn't have like a good run blocking offensive line, like I think it's no excuse to run the ball 2 times in one game or 1 time in one half, whatever the stat ended up being. There's no excuse for that. Yeah. But like if you don't have good run blockers, like maybe you justify not running as much. But 1 rushing attempt in a whole half of football, I don't care how good that Tampa Bay Buccaneers run defense is. That is just that is absurd. And it's not like you have some Hall of Fame quarterback like Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers or even Tom Brady, whatever. I mean, Jalen Hurts this is his second year in the league.
Yeah, he played 4 games last year. He's got the 7 games under his belt this year. So yeah.
I mean, that's just absurd.
And again, this week is a week where with a normal game plan, I mean, you guys have given up. You have 188 rushing yards to the Bears, 142 against the Bengals. You guys can be run on. You know what I mean? But, I know Miles Sanders is out, but Kenneth Gainwell, stud out of Memphis, rookie. We've got Jordan Howard still on our, practice squad to call up. We've got Boston Scott, who has proven to be a viable running back in the NFL. But I guarantee it's going to be RPOs. And I say this on every single show. And you can tell your coaches not to worry about the play action or the RPO because it's going to be a pass every single time. It just is.
I'll let Dan know that.
Yeah,
Just,
I know, I'm sure you got him on your cell. You
yeah,
can
I'm gonna
just get him up. Look, the RPO, it's all fake.
I'm gonna
It's
give him a
just
text right
every
now.
time.
I'm gonna give
Yeah.
Dan a text right now.
All right.
I mean, it's on the tape, right? They know that it's on tape.
It's on the. Unfortunately, it's been on the tape every single game this year.
Yeah. I mean, even Landon Dickerson, this kid was he was pretty good at Bama, right? And I think
Yeah,
he's done
absolutely.
solid. He's done decent with you guys as a run blocker, from what I've seen.
Yeah, he struggled in the pass blocking, which any
Yeah, he
young
does.
rookie lineman would.
Right.
So
Yeah.
So we'll go around the board here. I don't know how you guys want to phrase it. I don't say keys to victory anymore because victories come few and far between for us. Keys to being a competitive game. So Tyler, then we'll go Malcolm, then Pierre, then Jason. The keys for the Eagles to stay competitive against your Detroit Lions this week. I'm not saying that the Eagles are going to win this game. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so keys to keep the Lions honest, I would say is, pressure Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff has really struggled badly when you've dialed up some pressure. The pass rush can get home and, he's disrupted and, he doesn't have time to make reads. I mean, not that Jared Goff is very good when he has time, but if he doesn't have time,
Right.
he is very prone to make many mistakes. So I would say look out for blitzes, look for some pressure this Sunday.
All right, Malcolm. So just a heads up, the Eagles do not blitz. I'm not sure. I'm just making this number up. I'm guaranteeing they're last in the league in blitzing. Just going to say that right off the bat. So is there another key? Because obviously we know we won't blitz Jared Goff.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that on my watch. I saw that I think it was when y'all played the Denver. Y'all played Denver, right?
No, we played Denver in a week or
Yeah,
two.
and that's when y'all won. Y'all won that game, right?
No, we haven't played Denver yet.
They're
I'm out of it.
That's okay.
I don't remember what game it was, but they're still able to put pressure on the quarterback. So I mean, if they're able to put pressure from their front four and cause Jared Goff to, be Jared Goff, I think that could be definitely a key. As far as offensively, man, maybe the plays from Smith.
Man, you guys aren't selling me on an Eagles win here at all. Hey, they have a great front four, the Eagles. Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, they're beasts.
Right.
They are.
Dark Barnett, former first-round pick. They have really good front four. But, the story this week is Jonathan Gannon was being called out by Fletcher Cox because Jonathan Gannon's got Fletcher Cox spying last week. You don't have Fletcher Cox as a spy on your running quarterback or on your running back.
No,
you have him running up the middle. That's just what Fletcher Cox has become as a great line. It's pathetic. So, Pierre, anything else? Because everything the previous two partners said is stuff we do not do. So puts me in the Lions' favor there.
So I believe the Eagles are 29th in stopping the run. If they could stop the run and get Jared Goff in third and long situations, second and long situations, that's how the Eagles could win this game. But I don't think you guys will stop the run.
And just for the record, it was the Panthers game I was thinking about. I'm sorry, guys. It was the Panthers game. Yeah, that's the game that they won. That I think the Panthers they're undefeated or lost one game. They actually won that game and when I was watching that game is they put a lot of pressure on Sam Darnold from their front.
And our boy had two interceptions that game. Darius Slay.
Are you guys so you guys aren't like Philly. So when a guy leaves town, you don't burn his jersey or anything like that, right?
Lions fans do that for certain players, but not many players. Honestly, a lot of Lions fans start to hate on Darius Slay a little bit. Not gonna lie. I mean, he wasn't a guy that people loved, but Darius Slay, that's just my guy, man. He just grew into be my favorite player. Yeah. Him and Golden Tate, which was another former Eagle as well. Those are like my two guys. But two guys I really grown into, just really like from the football side, personality wise, just what they did for the city of Detroit as well. So Golden Tate, Darius Slay. So I'll never hate Darius Slay, man.
Darius Slay, what you said there, what he does for the city, him and his wife Jen Williams. I mean, they do so much for Eagles and the Eagles fans and all the giveaways and all the communicating. And they literally understand Philadelphia, Detroit, wherever they are, and they do great stuff there.
No, he embraced the city so much when he was here. Like, it's even as small as like just going to a high school football game or going to a high school basketball game, just like giving your support to like, those high school students that like idolize obviously Darius Slade. Just seeing him come out to your game, like that's just got to be a super cool moment. So
Yeah.
I just respect everything he did for the city, man.
Yeah.
So I'll never hate that guy.
I remember when he
Jason.
was in Detroit. He actually party. Somebody wrote him say, "Hey, Darius Slade wants to, can he come to this party?" And he came. It was some high school party. He just showed up.
He's the one that will, when a girl asks for him to go to the prom, he'll go to the prom with her.
Yeah, I mean, he even did it for us. We were a super small podcast. We were like 24 episodes in at the time, and we hit him up out of the blue. We're like, Darius, like, what's the chances? Like, all your other teammates rejected us, like they don't want to do it. But what's the chances you join our podcast just for like maybe a half hour, 40 minutes? Darius Slade gives us a chance, and that's where really our podcast just kind of took off after that point. After he joined, where people start to recognize a little more, and people like you, when you search our podcast, we're the #1 Lions podcast search out.
That's right. That's
and that's a big.
That's
thank
why I always
you.
say you shoot your shot with guests.
Exactly,
and that's never know. I mean, I shot my shot with Ron Jaworski when I first started doing it, and he's like, "Sure, I'll give you 15 minutes."
Yeah.
Okay, that's better than nothing,
Yeah, exactly. And that's a big thank you to Darius Slade. So like, I can never hate the guy just for as much as what he's done for us, and just for the city of Detroit, like I said.
Jason, do you have a different key to the game, or are you on par with these guys here?
No, I don't have a different one. I thought honestly the key matchup for the game is going to be Philly's D line against our O line. I think. Pressuring Goff in any way, not even necessarily saying blitzing, just if your front four can put pressure on Jared Goff, he is awful. I mean, I watched Joy Bell on the Woodward podcast, whatever it's called, break down how bad Goff is when he gets under pressure, and it's awful. I mean, he turns into the worst quarterback in the league. So Also, if you guys could somehow run the ball against us, that's going to really help you too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We could run the ball. We just don't run the ball. There's two different sides of that story there.
Yeah.
The lines are weird. The lines are weird with run defense because like some weeks they'll look really good, and then some weeks like you mentioned, like Cincinnati and Chicago, they'll run down our throats all game. But like last week versus Darrell Henderson and the Rams, we essentially shut them down. So like the Lions' run defense is so hit or miss. So we'll see what happens this week.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so predictions. I don't know if you guys have to save your predictions for your show, but here you are on DSM Media, here in the Philadelphia area, live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, everywhere you get your podcast. Tyler, we'll go around the circle again. What's your prediction for this game?
Oof. Are we doing a spread or just straight up?
Just straight up.
Okay.
We save the betting stuff and the fantasy stuff for tomorrow night, where me and Jason do our fantasy football stuff and gambling stuff.
I got you. Okay. So just a straight up bet. I haven't really thought about this honestly. Okay. I'm kicking in the homerist. Dan Campbell is going to get his first win of the Detroit Lions football era, of his football era. I'll say the Lions win this game. Let's go 24-21 Detroit in a close one. So I'll go a close one. Detroit wins.
Yeah.
Man, I am so conflicted with this game right now. And let me tell you why. It's because if you look at the history of the Detroit Lions, they always do this. Mm-hmm. They'll have a game where everybody expects them to get completely destroyed. And they keep it close. And then everybody's like, oh, wow, they're actually a really tough team. Let's see what they do next week. You know what they do in the following week? They usually crap the bed. They usually just play awful and lose the game terribly in a game that we all think they're going to win. Now, I am actually hoping Dan Campbell flips the script and doesn't do that. I think this will be a really big game for Dan Campbell to kind of separate himself from all the other previous line coaches by showing, we could play tough against a really tough team and follow up with another tough game and actually win that game. So I'm actually giving this a very close game. I'm going to have it 24-21 Lions. But again, I wouldn't be shocked if they completely, be history here. If they do that, it's like, oh, crap, here we go again. But I do think that they could turn it around. I think Dan Campbell's going to get these guys ready. 24-21 Lions.
Pierre, where are you at with this game?
Yeah, I think this is where Campbell also gets his first win. I got the Lions winning 24-20. Yeah.
You could have said 21. We could all have been 21.
I literally wrote 24-20 before.
No, okay, that's fine.
Before Tyler said his thing.
We're all 24-21. No, that's fine.
No, we're not all, because I'm not.
I hate score predictions. I'll just say that straight up.
I hate it too.
I hate score.
I hate record predictions. I hate the NBA trade machine,
Yes.
and I hate mock
Oh
drafts.
my god, the
Oh,
NBA trade
no.
machine. I actually want to punch someone when someone
I
sends me a
literally
text.
bash that stuff on social. Start following me on Twitter. I bash trade machines and mock drafts
Oh my
nonstop.
goodness, I cannot stand the trade machine.
Yeah, like the only thing that concerns me about this game is the Eagles have went off against bad defenses, 32 against Atlanta and then 30 against the Chiefs. So they could score points. It's just, will they?
Yeah. That's the question of the week right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've got two different numbers written down here on my thing because again, I have to make predictions. Jason froze up there. He's got Jack's issues right now. It's all good. He's the man, though, Jack. So I love Jack. He's excited to be a pirate for Halloween. So
That's
you know,
awesome.
That's what's up.
and he's going to be a cool pirate, not a mean pirate.
Okay.
I
Am I
wrote
still
down.
frozen?
What's that?
Am I frozen still?
Your
Yeah.
face is frozen. It's okay. Oh, if you're there, Jason, you can go ahead and
Yeah. I was
give me
gonna
your
say,
prediction for the game.
There he is.
27-17 Eagles.
Fly, Eagles fly. Okay.
I don't have any faith in the Lions.
All right.
Fly,
I do not blame you.
So normally I have like either I'm like dead set on a prediction or I have multiple things written down. So I'm going to give you guys. I got two numbers written down here. You can tell me which way I think each way is going to go.
Okay.
So I have the score 21-17 written down, and I have the score 31-21 written down. Do you guys have any idea which one is?
Let me
Which
guess.
way?
Let me guess. If it were giving up 31 points, we lost the game. I mean, Jared Goff is not scoring 31 plus points. So if our defense is giving up 31 points, yes, we lost that game. If it's a 21-17 game, I think Jared Goff could maybe score 21 points in the game. So I would say the 21-17 would definitely lean towards the Lions because that means their defense showed up. So yes.
That's how I have it. I wrote it down. I wrote two. I'll make my prediction at some point on Twitter or whatnot. But I have 21-17 Lions or 31-21 Eagles. It just depends on, whether we could score or not because, let's be honest, the Eagles' offense isn't consistent enough. So I just don't know who's going to show up yet. And I haven't been – normally my guess sway me one way or another.
Yeah.
And you guys haven't swayed me one way or the other.
No, it's going to be interesting because I think our defense and your guys' offense, it's so inconsistent. We don't know what unit's going to show up. So it's like if that Lions defense could show up to be like what they did versus the Rams or versus the Vikings or is that really Baltimore? Yeah, those three matchups, it's like, okay, we have a legitimate shot. But if like the defense shows up to be where they played the Cincinnati or San Francisco. Cincinnati's a little different, but okay, I'll say San Francisco, Green Bay, one of those two games, then I think Philly could pull it off. So I could really see this game going either way.
Yeah, but Tyler, does Philly have an Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones? Do they even have Kyle Shanahan's running scheme? No.
No, they don't. They do not. So,
And I actually think
that's why I chose the Lions.
And I actually think when we played Cincinnati, I think we played that game pretty well until the second half.
That's why I took
the bed.
That's why I took it out because we only held them to 10 points at the half.
I think the Bears game was they're having a rough time defensively.
Our defense, yeah, and that's not a great offense either. So
and hell, even the Packers game when you guys had the pack, you blew up or you got blown out by the Packers, but really it was a close game at halftime too.
Yeah,
it was. And well, I mean that was on Jared Goff in the offense, but yeah.
I felt bad for the bettor that had that huge parlay going, and it was all hinging on the Lions winning that game. So,
man,
I was a Lions fan that night.
There was like a hoodie giveaway on Barstool Sports that day as well. It's like if you bet $100 on the Lions to cover, it's like you get a free hoodie. I mean, if they covered or not, so you got the hoodie regardless.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
Hey, what do you guys think about the other football game this weekend? Michigan State.
Ooh, I am so excited.
We didn't even get to the whole Michigan thing.
Oh, I am so excited.
We got a big Michigan State fan right here. I was just dangling.
Oh, and these two right here, they're big Michigan fans. So this is good.
Go. So let me explain this. So this year, I'm a Michigan fan at heart, but I'm a Michigan State fan and head.
You can't say that, Tyler. You can't say that. You can't.
I can say that because I am not as passionate about either team. I love what Mel Tucker and Michigan State is doing, and just the program in general. So I like Michigan State a lot. When they play each other, I lean more towards Michigan. I think Michigan ends up winning this game Saturday, but again, that script could flip very easily. Like it could go either way. I just think Michigan is overall has the best unit, and that's their defense. I think their defensive unit is the best unit in the game in general compared to Michigan State's offense, Michigan State's defense, Michigan's offense. But it's going to be, I think, a Big Ten scrap battle. I got 21-17 Michigan this Saturday. But, again, it can go either way. I think it's going to be a hell of a game, hell of an exciting game.
You guys are out of my league there. I don't know nothing about either team.
Yeah, I got Michigan winning too. I think their D-line.
Yeah, I mean, looking at both teams, I think Michigan has the better run game. I actually really like Michigan State's offense, though. I think they have a lot of speed on offense. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting game. I'm not a fan of neither teams, but I just can't wait to see the game. I think that's going to be one hell of a game.
What do you think, Jax? Who's going to win?
Michigan State.
Go green.
Go green. That's right.
Go green.
I wouldn't even be disappointed if Michigan State won this game because I love Mel Tucker. I love Mel Tucker.
Bro, I'd be pissed, bro. Tyler, stop.
I'm not a college football fan like that. Like I'm just not as dedicated to college football like that. Like I'm not as like a diehard to Michigan as I am to the Lions. Like if the Lions lose, it's one thing. But if the Michigan Wolverines lose, but MSU wins, I'm okay.
It's kind of the way I am with Penn State. I'm forced to be a Penn State fan because there's no major, college anywhere near me.
Yeah,
it's kind of like if Penn State loses, I'm like, all right, whatever.
Like it doesn't affect my day at all if Michigan loses.
Absolutely not.
Jax might not know whether go green or go blue, but you follow, Jason's son Jax. He picks golf winners all the time.
Oh,
he loves his golf too.
Malcolm,
he picks golf winners.
I think I got to hit him up.
Malcolm needs some betting advice lately.
I think I'm gonna need him.
Jason and I, we do a fantasy golf and a fantasy football show, so you watch that stuff. We talk gambling as well. That's where it's at for us.
There you go, Malcolm.
Again,
tune in.
Yeah,
Tyler,
tune in, man.
Malcolm, Pierre. It's the Pride Podcast, a Detroit Lions podcast. When are you guys live, or when are you guys recording next?
Right after the show.
Right after this.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining. DSM Media's here, trending for 4 quarters. In enemy territory here with the Eagles fan here. Thank you very much, guys, for coming on the show.
Thanks, Phil.
Hey, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for having us, Phil.
Anything you want to plug? That this is your chance. Your 3 seconds of plugging before I mute you.
Go, Tyler. Quick, Tyler. Quick.
The Pride Podcast 5-star review. I'm out, guys. Peace.
Yeah, 5 stars. I don't have an iPhone, so I can't give you a 5-star review.
Figure it out.
I'll hit you up on Spotify and Facebook. What else?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
All right. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Again, trending for 4 quarters right here. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. That's Jason. He'll be back tomorrow night. DFS, no punt intended. And I got to.
Jax will probably be back too.
Jax will be back too. Jax is always welcome. Jax, no lie, Jason. Jax is more welcome than you on the show.
Yeah. He does what he wants. It's my house, but he runs it.
Yeah, exactly. He already, before we went on the air, he said he was the boss, not you.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, exactly. So real quick, I'm going to plug. Starting Monday morning, 8:30 a.m., trending in the a.m., the new daily morning show here on DSM Media. Myself and Jeremy, every day, whatever's trending in sports, make sure you're tapped in. We greatly appreciate it. Of course, again, our T-shirt store. Look at I've already got a Fairway to Heaven shirt on the way. Can't wait to wear that. And of course, Manscaped, code DSM at checkout. Get you 20% off. Jason, I know you got to put Jax to bed. So thank you very much for coming on this week.
See you tomorrow, buddy.
I'll talk to you tomorrow. Everybody have a great night. And as I say always, go Birds.